What's up, guys? Welcome to the next video in our CSS course. Today we're going to talk about how to add CSS to your page, and I'm going to show you how to do that in the three main different ways that you can. Okay, so I'm going to open up my text editor. I'm in Visual Studio Code, and I encourage you to hop in your text editor. Hopefully you're in Visual Studio Code. It's kind of like the industry standard for text editors. So if you don't have it, I suggest you get it and follow along with me here for the duration of this course, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start a course file for this whole course. And I'll be adding all these files and everything to GitHub, and I'll link to that in the description of every video so you can access it. So I'm going to just call this CSS course code. You can make your own file and call it whatever you want. And I'm just going to drag this into my text editor here, and we'll get started. So I'll make this full screen for now, and my first video is going to be adding css.html. Okay. And I'll show you the main ways to add CSS to the file. What we'll do is, instead of doing that, because we're going to have folders, right? So let me go ahead. I'm going to create a new folder called adding CSS, because we're going to have multiple files per lesson most likely, since we're dealing with CSS here. So there we go. So adding CSS, I did that by creating a folder, and then I just dragged this file in here. So you can actually just name this index.html now, which is just the default HTML file. There we go. All right, so I'm going to get my HTML code up here by doing exclamation mark tab and enter on VS Code. And then we'll name our document adding CSS. Okay. So I'm going to show you the three main ways to add CSS into a file of HTML. And what we'll do here is I'll make this about half the screen size, and I'll go live with the live server extension for Visual Studio Code so we can see our updates to our page in real time when I save. And we'll start adding some HTML to start. So I'm going to make an H1 heading and call it adding. We'll put adding CSS to a page. Hit save, and I'm saving by hitting Command S on my Mac keyboard, or you can hold Control and hit S on a PC keyboard. And there's our heading. And then I'll have a paragraph underneath it with our P tag, and I'm just going to do lorem 50 to put in some placeholder text, 50 words of lorem ipsum text. If you don't know what any of this is, guys, go check out my HTML course. I go over all of HTML, the tags, the Visual Studio Code, and everything else that you'll need to know. But yeah, so here we go. We got a paragraph, we got a heading. So let's add some CSS to this page. The first way I'm going to show you is called inline styles. So I'm going to make a HTML comment, say inline styles. And I'm going to add styles right to my H1 tag, okay? And I'm going to do that by typing out the word style and hitting tab. And that's called the style attribute. And you can do that for any HTML tag. You can add your own individual styles for just that tag. So these styles are just going to affect this H1 only because they're inline, okay? And that's also the reason why you don't want to use inline styles. This is actually the worst kind of thing you can do, because you'll have to end up writing code for every single HTML tag, and that's not good practice because that's a lot more work. But anyway, we have our style tag open, and now I'm just going to add a little bit of HTML by using the color property, and I'm going to go ahead and say red, okay? And we'll get into what all that means later on in some other videos, but just know that I'm adding CSS and I'm telling the text color to be red. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and we'll see our heading just changed to red, okay? So again, those are called CSS inline styles. It's not how you want to add your CSS, but it is possible, okay? The second way that you can add them is by using the style tags within your HTML document. So I'm going to go up to my head, the head area, and below my title, I'm going to put a style tag, an HTML style tag. And now within these style tags, you can write all the CSS you want, and it'll work for the whole page. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do P. I'm going to select my paragraph with the P selector. And I'm going to make some curly brackets. This is CSS syntax. It's your selector, curly braces, and then what you want to do to it. And I'm going to change the color of my paragraph text to green. And now it's green. And then we can change the background color to, let's say, yellow. And now I've got green text with yellow background. And then let's add some padding, which will give it some space around the text of, we'll say 20 pixels all the way around. There we go. Okay. So that's the second way within style tags. And again, we'll go over what all of this stuff means in later courses. Just know that you can use inline styles. And we'll put a comment under here. Say adding CSS with style tags. All right, and now we're going to do the third and most popular in the way that you're going to be doing it as a professional developer, and that's by creating your own style sheet CSS file and linking it with your HTML page, and then having your styles and your HTML separate in separate pages, okay? So I'm going to make a new file within our adding CSS lesson here. I'm going to call it style.css. So instead of .html, it's .css. And look at that, I even get a CSS logo because it knows, my text editor knows, oh, this is a CSS page. And now I'm going to link this page with my style page so that we can write all of our styles in here. And I'm going to do that by going to the head of the document again. I'll go beneath our style tag, and I'm going to do a link tag and hit tab. And the link tag is how you link other documents to your HTML page. So it has two attributes. It has a rel attribute, and you're supposed to describe what's going in here with this rel attribute, which is this is a style sheet. So that's already in there by default because VS Code just knows that 99% of the time your link is going to be your style sheet. So it kind of pre-fills it for you. And then your href, which is what file do you want us to get your styles from? And the file we want is the one we just made called style.css. So we'll put that in there. All right, and now we'll test out and we'll see if this is working at all. So let's go to, we'll go to our style sheet, and now I'm going to select our H1 in my style sheet. And I'm going to say, we'll say margin bottom. So I'm going to give it some spacing on the bottom to separate the heading of the paragraph. I'm going to say 30 pixels. And that should push this down now. Let's see. And it did. See how it just went down? We'll make it more so it's more dramatic. Let's do 100. Now it's way down there. Okay? So that's how you add styles with a style sheet. So let's select the P. And let's say we want our color to be, instead of green, let's have it be purple. And now it's purple. So even though we have style tags here, so here's something I want to show you. Let's do one more thing just so I can make this more obvious. I'm going to go to the color of my H1, and remember how we had it red using inline styles? I'm going to say color, let's go back to black. It didn't work, okay? So you know why it didn't work is because there's a hierarchy of how styles are going to work. The most specific one is always going to be your inline styles. If you ever have styles inline on your CSS or on your HTML element, no matter what you do, nothing will override it because it'll always go with whatever's inline, okay? So inline will always override everything. That's another reason why you don't ever want to use inline styles. It's just really bad practice, and you're going to override everything. The second one that it'll go by is your style tags. It'll listen to your styles tag styles second. So those are second hierarchy, and then your style.css will override your style tags, okay? So that's why when we changed the color to purple, it took it from the CSS sheet instead of the style tags, okay? So that's just something to keep in mind. I mean, in reality, you're never going to be using inline styles, and you're never really going to be using a style tag in real development, so it's not going to be too big of a deal, but just know that if you have multiple styles coming in and onto a page and some of them aren't working, that's why, because other stuff is overriding it. You probably have something inline, or you're probably using style tags somewhere, and it might be messing up your page. So best practice, use this link this link here and make a style sheet, a style.css, and link it separately and do your styles like that. Okay, so that's it for this video. That's how you add CSS to the page, and I'll see you guys in the next one.